Hi everyone, today I'm going to review the XPPen AC19 shortcut remote. This is basically a wireless remote designed for digital artists and creators. All the buttons here you see can be programmed with specific keyboard shortcuts. At the time of this review, the product is US $36. Shipping is calculated separately. It comes with 18 months of warranty. Now this is a way more affordable option compared to the Wacom Express Key Remote, which at the time of this video is US $89. Now there are going to be some differences between this and this. I can just tell you straight up. The build quality for the Wacom remote is better and there are more buttons, but this is less than half the price of this. If you have limited budget, this is something you can consider. The build quality is alright. The body is made with plastic. It has this hollow feel to it, but in terms of construction, I think it's solid enough. The buttons here, they are very similar to those keyboard buttons. They have the same springy feeling to them. I feel like the buttons here can be squeezed to become smaller so that it can fit more buttons. More buttons would be better, but 9 is sufficient, depending of course on how many buttons you actually need. Now this scroll wheel has little protrusions here to help you get a good grip on it, and there's this button here in the center. So you can assign different functions to the scroll wheel and use this button to change between the functions. And on the back there are two big pieces of rubber to prevent the remote from slipping off the table, or if you put it on a pen display, it's not going to slip. And this is the wireless receiver, which is actually quite difficult to take out, so I have to use my fingernails to basically pry it out. This is USB type A. Right at the top is where the battery will go. This uses a AAA battery, which is not included by the way, and this is the power toggle. So now it's on and now it's off. There's no label, so it can get confusing at times, but do remember to turn it off because there's no auto power off. I just realized that because earlier on it was flashing red light telling me to change the battery. So if you find that you are someone who is forgetful, who is not going to be turning this off, use rechargeable batteries. The remote is not a Bluetooth remote, so this USB receiver is required. Before you can use the remote, you have to install the driver. So this remote can be used on Windows and Mac OS. Let's see what you can do with the driver. This is the Mac OS driver. The Windows driver should have similar functionality. From the drop-down menu here, you can access the 10 physical shortcut buttons to customize them. These are the 10 buttons that are labeled here. So all the buttons have already been pre-programmed. These are the default shortcuts. You can create your own keyboard shortcut. Just click here, reset customer defined. And here you will be able to enter your own keyboard shortcut. So for example, I can just click clear here and hit Command N to create a new file. Basically assign this new file shortcut to that K1 button. You can also use the buttons to launch applications, launch web pages, and assign mouse clicks to the buttons. To customize the scrolling functionality, you can click here and choose from all these pre-programmed shortcuts like zoom in and out, scroll up and down, changing the brush size, or you can enter your own keyboard shortcut. One nice thing about this driver is you can create specific shortcut sets for specific software that you're using. So I have one set of shortcuts that I've created for Adobe Photoshop, another set of shortcuts created for Adobe Illustrator. Because for Adobe Photoshop, usually I'm doing like digital painting or drawing. I will use a lot of brush tools, so I have brush, eraser mapped onto the buttons. But when it comes to using Adobe Illustrator, I actually use the pen tool. I need to cut the lines, so I have all those functions, all those shortcuts programmed specifically for Adobe Illustrator. So you can just click this little plus icon here to create shortcut sets for the software you use. And each time you launch the software, the shortcut sets will automatically apply. After you're done customizing the keyboard shortcuts, I highly recommend you save the configuration file so that if there is anything wrong with the driver, you can reinstall the driver and load the configuration file again without having to customize each physical shortcut button again. This shortcut remote is great if you are using it together with a pen display that doesn't have many physical shortcut buttons or has no shortcut buttons, and for some reason you don't want to use a keyboard for your shortcuts. And it's great if you are using it together with the Microsoft Surface devices or basically any Windows tablet that doesn't have physical shortcut buttons. So for example, this pen display that I have has only 6 physical shortcut buttons, so having additional shortcut buttons will improve productivity significantly. Now, in the ideal situation, I would actually just use my keyboard, in which case I will have access to all the keyboard shortcuts. So you have to decide whether or not you want to go with this because it's very compact, very portable, or you want to go with this, which is obviously much larger and a bit more difficult to bring around. If you are drawing at home, I think the obvious choice is to go with a proper keyboard. Alright, let's test this out. So I have the brush mapped onto this button. Alright, so it works fine. I have the eraser mapped to this button. And let's switch back to the brush and let's zoom in and out. Works fine. I have the color palette mapped to this button. So all the buttons here, they work fine. I also have undo and redo. So the buttons, they work fine and they are very convenient to use. I've set the scroll wheel here to change the brush size and it's working fine as well. And there's a very nice feedback when you're turning the wheel. One thing the Mac driver is missing is these labels that will appear when you press the function switch button. So this is Windows and it works alright, but on Mac OS you don't see this. One area of concern is if you are using a pen display from another brand, you will probably be using another brand's driver, and there's also the XPPen driver, so there may be driver conflicts. Personally, for me on my system, I did not notice any driver conflicts, thankfully, but on XPPen's website, I have read reviews of people who had driver conflicts because they were using some other brands of pen displays. Now, if you are using Windows tablets, there are no problem at all because you don't need to install drivers in order to draw on Windows tablet. But if you are using pen displays like this that's connected to a computer, you will have to install driver and just take note of potential driver conflicts. Unfortunately, you will not be able to know if you're going to have any driver conflict until you have the driver conflict. And also, by the way, this Mac OS driver that I'm using, this is not the latest version. I tried the latest version, and when I tried to save the keyboard shortcuts onto the buttons, nothing was saved. So I had to use the driver that is one version older. If you guys have any questions regarding this shortcut remote, let me know in the comment section below. Do check out more reviews regarding this product on XPPen's website. There are several customer reviews over there. I'll put the link in the video description below. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye.